Yesterday we ranked the rookie running backs, and today we're going to do the rookie wide receivers. And like always, we split these guys into tiers, and we spitball and talk ball on these wide receivers. From all the scouting, all the analytical views I've looked throughout the week, I just try and move these guys around to how I'm feeling on that day. And I put them into tiers because you know what? We diversify when we play in a lot of dynasty leagues. It's not always one versus one, especially now when we don't know landing spots and draft capital can get wonky on us. So let's put them into tiers, keep the values kind of close, and use this as a gauge because I'm going to let you know, like everybody else, I'm going to have some misses. And letting you in on my process as I talk things through is going to teach you how to fish and not give you a fish. So that's one of the main processes here with doing the rankings every week. So when I'm talking ball, you kind of get an idea of how I'm going through things with the process. It's more like a draft diary throughout the season. Every day we're pumping out content, going over changes on these players. That being said, a lot of draft content's coming out here. A lot of Dynasty Fantasy Football content's coming out here. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. It's really going to help you out in season, especially when it comes to DFS, redraft, setting your lineups, do a lot of in-season stuff, a lot of stuff for rookie drafts, a lot of stuff working the markets for Dynasty Fantasy Football. There's damn near 2 or 3 videos a day sometimes, so that's something you want to pay attention to. You don't have to watch them all, but there's going to be a smorgasbord of content for when you got time to look through the catalog of videos. Let's go ahead and deep dive this here. So we got the tiers up here. Similar to last time, we got A1 and A2 tier. And A1 and A2, they're pretty much the same. But however, like I feel, Jackson Smith-Njigba is pretty close to being locked in as the wide receiver 1. And we don't have an S tier for like a stud tier. I don't feel like we got anyone locked in as a generational talent. We got guys locked in as being good. And that's fine. That's good. It's all right to have some top end guys that are good players, first round draft capital more than likely, and that's fine. But I feel like it was great splitting these guys up. I have these guys kind of valued the same, but draft capital, ADP, and everything, I think splitting it up like this kind of works out. That being said, A1 and A2 is kind of the same tier, but also I'm playing the game of ADP. I want that worked into the ranks, not just player good, player bad, if that makes sense, because we're also playing Dynasty Fantasy Football. You're also doing startup drafts with these players. You're also doing rookie drafts with these players. And if I just do player versus player, then that's going to shake some people up because there's positional values here that you got to look at and everything else. So not everything's going to be the same. Let's shake things up with how I present this. Zay Flowers in A2, and he belongs in A2. He's going to get draft capital. I think he's a very safe prospect. I think he's very nuanced. He gets downfield and makes plays. I think he's going to get a good ADOT at the NFL level. He had an ADOT at the Boston College level, the collegiate level, and the ACC. So I think he's going to be a downfield threat. A little bit light in the pants, but it's not worrying me at all. I feel like the odds of him busting isn't very good. I feel like he's got good odds of giving you something. I also think he's going to give you a chance to hit on the top end as well. Jordan Addison, too. I've liked him. I've had my criticism on the combine, and some people really took that one way or another, but I feel like for his upside to hit, he's going to need a little bit of extra fuel behind him, and that's okay. I think of him not likely to bust, just like Zay Flowers. I think he's a good player. I think the odds of him giving you something is going to be very, very, very good. And I like the metrics here. A good breakout age, good market share throughout his career. Was productive. He had a mega production season too. So that's a good thing. And the tape checks out. He's very nuanced, good hands, good ball skills. Made big plays in big moments. And then Quentin Johnston. He's an A2 as well. Pretty much locked in for first round draft capital. Size-speed ratio guy of the draft off the top end markers. And think about that. Right situation. A little bit of development. You got yourself a big-time wide receiver. There is some things to worry about on him. Some things on tape, like the separation, a little bit of body catching. But also, there are some metrics that go his way. The breakout age is good. He's hitting those market share thresholds. He's got good size-adjusted athleticism, especially when you look at the burst metrics. He's a very explosive player. So he's not a guy you want to sleep on. And he's a guy you want to take at value and you want to look at. And I think he belongs in A2 because that draft capital is worth something to me. Next guy I want to talk about, one of my favorites, is Marvin Mims. And you're going to catch him at a value. You know what? You'll catch him more at tier C value, but we're going to try and get him in a lot of leagues. He's that tiered off wide receiver in that second round that you should be going after. Last mock draft that was sent to me that I did on the channel, which was like 2 days ago, he went at the end of the second round, like 212. And I think he should be valued a little bit more than that. This guy's going to get you a good ADOTs. He's going to get you those air yards. He's projected for that. Runs in the 4.3s, has good ball skills, can create separation. He's slight, I get it, but he is a guy that you can put in the slot and stretch the field at the same time. Pretty much a discount slot receiver who has upside. Another slot receiver I like, and a lot of people like, is Josh Downs. I like him. He's a slot guy, and right situation, right volume, he could hit big for you. Also, you want to note that he's pretty much locked into just the slot. I mean, 80 to 90% of his snaps were in the slot last year. Size adjusted speed's okay, and is what we were thinking of when he was coming out of high school, playing here in North Carolina. Nothing to be surprised here. I think he can give you a little bit more. He's got good ball skills, too, for his size. Plays bigger than his size. Creates separation well. I think he's going to be good in the slot. I think the right situation where they use him correctly. They got a good quarterback that spreads it around. I think with that fuel, I think he'll be a good fantasy producer. If not, he might be just locked into that wide receiver 2 bubble and just moves up and down and not really stay in the top portion of that bubble. But that's still fine as well with the draft cap where you're spending at. But he does have some good markers in his profile, early breakout age, high-end production, especially from a market share standpoint. The odds of him busting aren't that good, but you do catch some of those guys sometimes that do bust. But the markers are hitting, so you should see a player here that gives you something if you draft him. Jalen Hyatt, due to his athleticism, and I know he did not kill the combine like people were expecting, but still low 4.4s, good vertical, a little bit light in the pants though. Not as nuanced as Downs, Mims, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers, not as nuanced as those guys. He has a trick of where you want him, and that is that deep speed and the potential draft capital. The deep speed is air yards, and you have to know how to play a wide receiver like that. If you're playing DFS, you do that a lot, and that's your thing. You know what I'm talking about. A guy that's getting a decent target share, 15 to 20%, but is pushing 80 to 100 air yards a game, that means you're waiting for them to pop off on the right matchup, and you're playing the matchups. If you don't do that work week to week, you may not like Jalen Hyatt, because you're looking for a guy that finishes or has the points per game in the wide receiver 2s, wide receiver 1s. I'm looking at him to hold that kind of value. If I'm over your head, then you may not want Jalen Hyatt, because that's what I'm looking at, especially if you have a deep roster of wide receivers, you're playing DFS with them, with the matchups. A guy like that might be on your lookout. That might be a guy you're looking out for. Kayshon Boutte, I'm going to put him here. I think I had him here last time. I'm going to put him here. The thing about him is, at his price point, until we know what happens in the draft's going to tell us what to do with him. It is. If he falls in the draft, he's falling down low. But let's keep him in the middle, but let's give some respect, because at one time he was here. Let's see what happens. We're not doctors. We can't talk to him every day, see how he's feeling with his body. He's probably going to tell us he's okay anyways. We saw what he was in his freshman and early sophomore season. Sometimes it just gets zapped. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. So he's just a guy that you're just going to have to play with, and you're not going to know. Nobody knows. I can pretend I know, but you know what? That'd be lying to you. That'd be false analysis. That would not be a good thing to do, and I'm praise honesty here and just being open, and I'm just going to stay in the middle. And my thought is, I see that freshman, early sophomore season, I would love this. But I've been seeing this game long enough, knowing that some of these guys, they fall in the draft. And some of these guys, it just doesn't happen. I've been there enough, but I just want to coast in the middle And I'm going to let you know, if the draft capital is somewhat good, team somewhat good, we're going to pay a premium, and we're just going to shoot a shot for the upside. Somewhere up here. Somewhere. If not, down here somewhere. That's about it. And that's probably the common sense thing, but people aren't really thinking of it. I'm just bringing it out loud. Cedric Tillman could be a guy that gets okay draft capital, third roundish to late second roundish. Could be a guy sneaks on us. 2021 is what you want to look at. You want to look at that run of winter he was productive. You want to look at that, and maybe Hendon Hooker allowing Jalen Hyatt and Cedric Tillman to look good. Maybe that's an indictment of how good he is, and potentially also a lot of people saying this is a gimmick offense. I don't want to slight people, because you know what? Players who play well, they have to do whatever they can in their situation anyways. Cedric Tillman can ball in his own way. He's got good size, good on the curl route, good hands, creates a little bit of separation. I would like him to be a little bit more nuanced with that, so his routes a little bit more, create more on a nuanced standpoint, but he has ways he can win. Right situation, right draft capital, really just waiting on him. A late rounder that I'm in love with is Trey Palmer, 4.3 speed, but 4-star recruit coming out of high school, went to LSU, then transferred to Nebraska last year, turned it on. 30% market share, a little higher than that, productive, came out instantly, was getting targets, was looking the part, and that's a player to keep your eye on. Another guy's Xavier Hutchinson. I've had him all over the ranks this whole offseason, and I imagine the draft's going to solidify that. That's kind of why he's in the middle. I've had him down here a little bit, like here, D-ish. I've had him here-ish. I'm going to keep him there. What I see about him is he's an older prospect. He is a big guy. I wish he did a little bit better at the combine, but I also see that he got over here at Iowa State, productive, had a little bit more production the following year, got better, and that could allow him to get drafted in a good location, could allow him to produce early in his career. Again, when I look at this whole wide receiver class, I don't look at it as a strong class. So when I get to B, C, D, and E, it's not as strong as tiers if I was talking like last year. I wish I was doing this last year with the tiers every week. I wish I was doing this last year. One, it would have gave me more content, obviously. And two, it would have let you know what I was thinking from a macro standpoint of the class a little bit more. And then also how I was changing my mind throughout the offseason. You watched one ranking video a few weeks ago and watch now. Players are moving around a little bit. Also, I think Parker Washington is a guy to look out for in the draft. Just pay attention to him. Is he a guy that's going to be like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1? I don't know. I don't think so. But he's a guy that could land in a situation that you might bump up a bit. Good metrics, especially when Jahan Dotson was there. Decent breakout age. Just really barely exceeding those thresholds. Also big slots. So a guy that will be in the slot. And slot receivers sometimes get the targets, especially in their offenses, and it's very situational for those players. I can't quit Raheem Jarrett, but he's slowly falling down the board. I just don't see him really getting a draft capital, and I just don't see him really just living up to that 5-star pedigree that we were hoping in Davy leagues. And athleticism lied to us, because we were hearing all this stuff in college, like he was a 4.3 guy, he's this, he's that. Came out at the combine, kind of sputtered. And you know what? He did have that 1 year of tremendous market share. And Maryland is kind of wonky. That is a weird offense. You had baby Tua back there just running for his life, making all kinds of mistakes. Raheem Jarrett could be a surpriser. And he also has upside. His upside is grandiose. However, the downside is basement out of the league. So his upside is up there with the A2 guys, honestly. The downside is very low, and the likelihood of hitting the upside isn't great unless things really click or something happens. Other players I'm looking at, Rochell Rice. He pops on tape, good size, older G5 prospect. He's over here balling on younger guys at the G5 level. That's concerning to me. The tape guys love this guy. And I understand, because I also watched the tape too. I saw that very productive last year. I also want to halt. The metrics are saying, hey, This guy needs draft capital or you're going to have to just fade him completely. So that's one thing. I feel like this is a guy that needs to go in the right situation and get the draft capital for us to go all in on. Tape says, damn good. Good ball skills. Bigger guy. Can box out a bit. Puka Nakua guy at Senior Bowl. Built up his name and was looking good. Looking good with the hands. Good route runner. Another guy that's probably going to be a mid to late rounder that you're just going to look at, along with Michael Wilson. I throw those guys in the same boat. Charlie Jones is an older wide receiver prospect, and I understand he had to transition a bit. I think the odds for Dynasty is something you want to look at here. Like, the odds of him just hitting for you are not very good, which is very similar to Tier D and Tier E. It might as well be the same thing, but just off my feelings and my gut on these players. Tier C's, they kind of like simmering, but the odds aren't good either. BA and A1, yeah, they got some decent odds. I like Jaden Reed. He's just getting more liked by me throughout the process. Want to see his draft capital. Could be later, could be mid, could be higher than what we thought. Let's put him and see. I just want to let you guys know that I like him. I like his ball skills. I should come out with a video on Jaden Reed, just on him, just to let you know about him. I can't really go to tape as much anymore. YouTube just slaps you. They just kill your channel with that. And I wish I could. I used to do a lot of film studies on these players, but YouTube does not like that. They do not. I might have to do something in the works where it's off YouTube and I can just do it myself on another platform, because I do love doing film studies on players. It's one of my favorite things to do on the channel. Ronnie Bell, slot receiver, productive at Michigan from a market share standpoint. Older wide receiver. Odds are saying not that good. But the odds are also saying, hey, this guy, decent breakout age. This guy was productive. Didn't hurt his knee. We're going to hold him for hurting his knee. We're going to hold that against him. Or are we going to just see what happens? We're going to see what the NFL says. Dontavian Wicks. I don't know, man. He could be a surpriser. He had that season where he was productive. He has some highlights on there where you want to look at. And it's hard to say where to put him, really. Let's put him there because I was really high on him going into the offseason. He's been slowly sliding down. A.T. Perry's a guy that I like, and he's an older wide receiver. Let's put him up here. Let's put him up there. I think he can be solid. I think Tier C's fine. You know what? I don't know what to do with him. I like him. Let's just move him up here. Let's move him up. I want to watch his draft capital. I think it's going to be okay draft capital. And I think his ball skills are going to allow him to have some sort of production if he gets a role. And that's the thing. Like, you see all these wide receivers in a draft class from the macro standpoint, and you're thinking all these sweet nothings on them. A lot of these players, though, it's not going to happen with. And if it does, it's only be for a short time. And you also want to shoot for the upside. You shoot for the stars, and hopefully you land somewhere in between. So that's that. Daniel Dell. Tank, you're sliding. Let's keep you there. Let's give you a little bit of respect. But I like him. I think things need to go his way. He's very nuanced, good hands. I think he's a good wide receiver. Let's move him up here. He's a good wide receiver. He's just kind of slight, stuck in a slot. Kind of slight. I mean, he's damn small. Looks good Senior Bowl, but that doesn't mean shit either. So I think the odds of him giving you that top tier production for fantasy, you're going to need things to go right. Tape wise, I like him better than Rochell Rice, but I think Rochell Rice analytically has a little bit better odds. Andre Vasas, or whatever you want to say. I don't even care about saying his name right. He is like a great value Jeff Janis from Princeton. Guy that you'll pick up later in drafts or as a free agent. Good athleticism. Probably land in a grandioso offense and be that late round guy. And people want to blow late round picks on. That's the type of dude you're looking at. Dante Demas has some production on his name from a market share standpoint, and I know this because I got some Devi shares like a couple years ago when he was younger. So the thing about that is that might prove to be something in the right situation, but more than likely not. But I also want to bring that out so you know about it. Tyler Scott, just not happening really. Another guy, another slot guy, another body here that I don't think you're going to get top-tier fantasy production out of. And out of this list, recapping, when I'm looking at these players, feel good about the A1, A2 thing. I still do. If I'm higher on the consensus about, which I don't feel like, I think the consensus is moving this way, Zay Flowers just feels damn good. Zay Flowers feels damn good. Jordan Addison, you guys, depending on what videos you watched, I hope you're watching the ranking videos, because I still like this guy. Some of these videos, when I'm just being blunt honest, some people take it that I'm going off the deep end. Quentin Johnston, I like a lot, but I know the downside as well. And depending on what you watched of me, you would either think I'm here or you think I'm down here, which I like, because I like to have the trick bag for some of you guys. Marvin Muss, major riser for me. Kayshon Boutte, I'm in love with, but I know the downside, and I'm waiting to see what happens. Jalen Hyatt is risky. Josh Downs, kind of safe. He's like that two-condom wide receiver in your rookie drafts that you're just going to take second roundish. And there you go. C tier, they're guys that got something but a little risky. D tier, they got a little something but they're a little risky. E tier, you kind of want to stay away from. But that's it. Those are the rankings for this week. I'll have them again up next week, switched around a little bit as I go through my process. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As you know, these are starting to get a little closer to right as we go through the process. That's just how it works. Do this week after week after week after week. Things change. Because if you are analyzing prospects, it should not be done January. It should not be done in February. You should be working throughout the whole thing, even after the draft. That's how you get things kind of right. And then the odds are that you're going to have some misses. Again, use this as a baseline. Use this as guidance, or use it as part of your process. Again, goals to teach you how to fish, not give you the answers, because one day I may not have the video up or something like that. So make sure you're going through the process, looking through everything, but I know you're going to do that. Make sure you smash that subscribe button on the way out. Really trying to grow the channel here, help me out with your dynasty teams, rookie drafts, everything else. So I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.